Yes.
I call to order the Gladstone City Council meeting for June 26th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. Hello and happy Chocolate Pudding Day. No, I have to find goofy ones. It's also Forgiveness Day, but I thought Chocolate Pudding Day was more fun. This is the second meeting of the month, which is usually the work session, but we have quite a bit on our plate right now, so we're going to have some regular business. So we're going to start with the consent agenda, which is approval of the June 12th, 2018 regular meeting minutes, and approval of Resolution 1140, which is extending workers' comp coverage to volunteers for fiscal year 2018-2019. Our regular agenda is going to be Resolution 1141, which is adopting the supplemental budget for biennium years 2018-2019 to create new appropriation categories. Resolution 1142, adopting the supplemental budget for the biennium years 17, so I did get that right. 2017 to 2019, accepting new revenues. Ordinance 1489, vacating a portion of East Kenmore Street and reserving a utility easement. Our regular meeting agenda is Resolution 1143, which is adopting a revised master fee schedule. We're then going to adjourn into the Urban Renewal Agency. Consent agenda is approval of the June 12th, 2018 Urban Renewal Agency minutes. Public hearing will be Resolution UR 67, adopting the supplemental budget for the biennium years 2017-2019 to create new appropriation categories. We will then adjourn from the Urban Renewal Agency and reconvene into a work session to discuss charter amendments to city elections. Once the work session is complete, we will adjourn into an executive session. Tammy, could you please call the roll? Or Haley, excuse me. Sorry about that.
Okay. Counselor Milch?
Here.
Counselor Neese?
Here.
Counselor Tracy?
Present.
Counselor Reisner?
Here.
Counselor McMahon?
Here.
Counselor Mercero?
Here.
Mayor Stemple?
Here. Could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any agenda additions or corrections?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I would like to recommend that at the end of your agenda where you have business carried forward and business from the council, that we have those items before we go into executive session. Typically, when you have an executive session at the end of the meeting, you don't want people to have to wait outside in case they want to come back in for the rest of your meeting. And so we should have caught that when we organized the agenda.
Nope, that sounds great. Is that okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, anything else on corrections, additions? Nope. All right, so we have a lot on a very convoluted agenda this evening. So, as I said before the meeting, if you wish to speak, please fill out the yellow cards. And my goal is to keep it respectful and engaging, and since there's very few here, I'm sure that you will help us do that. So, business from the audience.
Bill Osborne?
Bill Osborne, live here in Gladstone. I was disappointed that you guys didn't dig any holes with those shovels a little earlier. Figured you were going to start digging out the foundation, but I guess that's down the road a couple weeks. Anyway, just updating you on our solve cleanup we had this Saturday. We had approximately 30 volunteers out.
Wow, awesome.
A lot of Cub Scout, Boy Scouts. I'm not sure if they were just the Cub Scouts, still younger ones, and their families. Large group that really helped. Had some of the police officers there. Chief Jolly was there helping. And a lot of people coming out looking for garbage, and we got some, but as it's been happening lately, we're collecting less and less, so I hope that's because we're out there and we're picking it up on a monthly basis. Certainly I'm happy with less bags to deal with at the end of the day. So didn't find any needles, found some broken glass, which is pretty common down there, but and one shopping cart, so all in all, we're getting less and less, even when we got people out there scouring all the corners. So I'm happy to be able to report that. So we've got the next one coming up. I believe it's the 21st of July. So hopefully some of you guys can make it out there. We got plenty of grabber sticks, garbage bags, and gloves for everybody. So.
No, we don't usually ask questions, but are you guys thinking of expanding to more than just High Rocks?
I'm dealing with High Rocks. I've actually adopted High Rocks through Solve.
Okay.
I'm looking to try to get some people to take some other parks or areas on, so if you hear of anybody who's interested in that, you can put them in contact with me. I can get them to the right people there. Solve
Okay.
makes it really easy. It's not, I mean, there's a little bit of work involved, mostly just promoting the cleanups, but they get you all the materials and stuff you need, and get things set up online so people can register, get you all the forms out, walk you through it, and at the end of the season they give you a nice dinner. So.
Okay, well, we'll get the word out, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Anybody else?
No, that was our only card.
All right, well, the first item is the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion? A motion?
Sure, Mayor. I'd like to move that we approve consent agenda items number 1 and number 2.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Councilor McMahon and co-seconded by Councilor Mercer and Councilor Neese. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passed. We're moving on to the regular meeting. First item is Resolution 1141, a resolution adopting the supplemental budget for biennium years 2017 to 2019 to create new appropriation categories.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Council. I have Interim Finance Director Kathy Brucker with me, and we have kept you informed for the last couple of months since our last audit on what the city's corrective action plan is in regards to our current biennium budgetary categories that we have. So Kathy will go through the items number 3 and 4 for you. I do want to make sure for the public they understood that a lot of work has gone into with each department head and their departments, and one of the areas of improvement that we wanted to identify is where we've done budget narratives on every single line item in our material and services budget. And so you have that before you in your packet this evening. Also in your packet with the resolution is the proper noticing that we did to the public and the Clackamas Review in regards to the supplemental budget process that we're going through this evening. And so I will have Kathy walk you through the first one.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here tonight with this. I feel that it's kind of the culmination of a lot of work that Jackie and I have been tied up with. As you can see, this is a supplemental budget request. It is to create your new appropriation categories, and basically it's a way of reorganizing your 2017-19 biennium budget in a way that will keep the city in compliance, allows efficiencies in process, in the handling of the budget by the department heads, and just overall is the also the most accepted and common way of a budget to be constructed under Oregon budget law. I won't go in through all of the narratives that have been listed out here. We would be here for quite a while with that, but basically what this is doing is just recategorizing things, keeping in a departmental level focus or a fund level focus. It does not change. This resolution here does not change the total budget amount at all. It just kind of reorganizes it. So it's the first step in this process here. We are, by Oregon budget law, required to advertise what we're doing, so that has been done. Because we are changing the category setup of the budget. So you can see it's basically showing on Resolution Exhibit A, it shows what it had been originally established at under Resolution number 1113 with the adoption of the budget, and then we're under Resolution number 1141. You can see how we are reorganizing it into General Fund Department, and then within all of the other funds, putting it into operations, interfund transfers, and contingency. And So, with that, do you have any questions about that?
I have a quick question on the fire department and EMS levy, the last one on page 3-10. So you have office supplies and equipment, and then it says this line was mislabeled in the budget is for general supplies, not office supplies. So I just was curious, should that just be supplies, or is office supplies and equipment correct?
Well, office supplies and equipment is correct. We're trying to standardize also to the descriptions of the various line items. So it might have been the chief's interpretation that office supplies should not be on there, but we will maintain that same category.
Okay. Because that's paper and printers and whatever else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question as well. On page 3-9 for the tech rescue equipment, do we have a dollar amount at all? Do we have any idea?
On what that is going to be for the year?
For the tech rescue equipment?
I don't have the line items in front of me, I'm sorry, as far as knowing what he had budgeted for that. I know that they are in the process of getting those ordered.
Okay.
If it will be in this fiscal year or next fiscal year, I'm not sure, but it is within the biennium budget.
Okay, all right. And then I have a question also on page 3-10 on the training facility, funds to develop a permanent How, and maybe Councilor McMahon can answer this for me. So, how important is it for us to have something like that here in Gladstone? Can't we work with Portland or use their training facilities?
I'm going to punt. I have my opinion on it right now, but I think the training facility is just it's a placeholder more than anything, I think, because they're just kind of potentially putting some money in there, potentially if something pops up. And I think maybe they also were thinking maybe using some land at Public Works. Is that correct, or do you know?
Right. So first of all, just to clarify, these are funds that are already being received and budgeted for. So policy decisions regarding whether or not you want a training facility would come at the next biennium budget. These funds are being held, and the City Council would weigh in on the future use of those funds right now. But you are correct. There's potential that we could look to contract with Clackamas Fire for training facilities. We could be building something of our own, but those policy decisions have not been made yet. It's just that when we collect money from the fire levy, a portion of that is going into an account for the future of a training facility.
So excuse me, so this is just basically drawing on a more detailed appropriation line so that we...
Of what's in the current budget.
Of what's in the current budget,
Yes.
and you're adding the potential for us to be able to make policy decisions to make the expenditures accordingly to these new appropriation lines.
Yes.
Am I close there, Kath?
Yep.
Is that close? Okay.
Yep.
I too, had a note in mind as well with the question mark, so.
Any other
Well, I
questions?
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes. We had the issue with the auditors a couple months ago about not being in compliance because we didn't reappropriate enough money from one category to another, which is the way that the city has historically done this for many years, only we just didn't do it quite as well as we should have in 2017. Now, we changed to a biennial budget. Does the state requirement, is that on a year-to-year basis, or if we have a biennial budget, do we only have to be in compliance over the 2-year budget cycle?
It's really confusing because you have a fiscal year that is on a year-to-year basis, and then you have your budget year on a biennium basis that is over the 2-year cycle. So, because many times in all categories, you can't say it's going to be an even 50-50 split by any way, shape, or form. Your personnel costs, various things go up the second year. And then many times you may only have, a small amount you're spending in one year and then a much larger amount, say, in capital-related items that go into the following fiscal year. So you can't rely on a 50-50 split. Basically, it's just having a good plan in going forward. what we will be doing, what you will see in your reports, currently you're looking at something that shows the full biennium budget, and you're looking at roughly about, you want to see about 50% in revenues and somewhere around 50% in your expenditures, depending. Next, in July, when you get your financial report, you'll see that money has been reduced drastically as far as the budget, because we have to then show what we have for a carry forward, and that's what we will show for the budget remaining, because you're going to have, again, one fiscal year in actual activity that you're wanting a comparison to the last year of the biennium budget. So there's no doubt it gets very confusing looking at it, but it all works. But we do want to ensure that at the end of the second year, your total expenditures do not exceed, in the combined 2 years, more than that approved budget amount.
And if I can just follow up with that, then, and by consolidating, for example, we used to break it down: personnel services, material and services, capital outlay. By consolidating those into one broad category for the department, then if you go under the old way, if we went over in personnel and under in materials and services and didn't do anything about reallocating, we would have been in trouble with the state.
It's a violation.
By consolidating them all together, as long as the overall budget stays under, then we're still okay. We're still in compliance.
Well, within department.
Within department, yes.
And basically, as I tried to reiterate earlier, it depends on the resolution. So it all comes back to that resolution. So how you adopt that resolution means how you have to administer that budget. And that's what we're trying to do here, is ensure that this new resolution, the supplemental resolution, as you can see, as long as we stay within $3,263,000 on bottom line and administration, it doesn't matter if personnel services is high and materials and services is low, or vice versa, or the individual line items are over or under, as long as the bottom line stays at the $3,263,000 for the 2 years.
Okay, very good. I look back historically. There were years when we transferred as little as 50 cents from one line item to another line item to stay in compliance.
Right.
This was many decades ago. But this simplifies things a great deal, and yet still gives us the accountability and the good overall planning structure that we need to have a good budget.
Absolutely. And this is also, too, why budget law was rewritten by the state a few years back, to allow cities to be able to operate efficiently.
Thank you.
And our auditors, we have met with them, and they are pleased that we are headed in this direction as well.
Any other questions?
If there's not, I make a motion to approve resolution number 1141 of the City of Gladstone, Oregon, adopting a supplemental budget for the biennium years 2017 to 19 to create new appropriation categories.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Councilor Mercero, seconded by Councilor McMahon. Now, we have to do a second reading on this if it's...
No.
Nope, we don't. We're good. Okay.
One more question. We're listing this on the agenda as a public hearing. Do we need to ask for additional public hearing input beyond what people did with cards, or is there...
Since you're not doing anything ultimately to the budget, but just, as Kathy described, having a different approach to it, technically you don't, but it's certainly okay if you want to take any public testimony.
All right, well, just to make it clean, is there any public testimony on this item? No? Any further discussion up here?
I've got, one comment. Well, this is great. I really appreciate all the work that went into straightening out our books. But also I want everybody to know that I can't support this resolution while the City Council continues to deny access to the City Attorney bills of individual councilors.
All right. All right.
That's fair.
No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passed. Next item is Resolution 1142, a resolution adopting the supplemental budget for the biennium years 2017 to 2019 to accept new revenues.
According to Oregon budget law, we kind of went a little bit over and above what was truly required by this. We could have done this through a budget resolution, and we didn't have to go through the formal process of a supplemental budget on this. However, for transparency's sake, we wanted to be sure to step these out and make it very clear as to exactly what it was that we're doing here, and also to just familiarize you a little bit more with the whole Oregon budget law process. This, what we're doing with this resolution here is we are increasing the budget by $496, or $496,335. And this is all reflective of new revenue that has come into the city. It was unknown at the time the budget was put together and has either been received or is anticipated. And then so that is what is showing there on your resource side. Anytime you do something like this, you must have a resource that offsets the anticipated appropriation. And the appropriations are listed on the other side as far as exactly what those are going to be utilized for. So that is basically in a nutshell what this resolution is here. It allows us to increase the budget, receive these funds, and then appropriate and spend these funds. Any questions on this?
So if we get funds above and beyond this, then we have to come back and do another resolution?
You can receive as much money as comes in. You do not have to do a supplemental budget on any revenues coming in over and above what the resources are estimated to be. It's the appropriation side.
Okay.
You cannot spend money that the council has not legally appropriated.
Okay. Any questions?
So I guess back up a little bit. So this 496,000, that's not new revenue that came in, or it is new from, is there anything in particular?
Came in from, there is 45,000 from police grants, 373,335 is coming anticipated, and this is over the biennium for the,
Safer Fire
grant.
grant.
Yeah, the fire.
Oh, the Safer grant.
Yeah.
33,000 came in for the senior center. 11,000 of that is for their community garden project, and an additional 20-some thousand came in donations that was utilized to purchase a vehicle. And then in police and communications, it is 45,000 that is coming. That was a grant came into the general fund. We're moving over to the police and levy.
Where it should be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the police
So
grant
this is a good thing.
This is
Oh,
a good
definitely.
It's a
thing.
very good thing,
Yeah.
yes. And this is how you legally spend it then.
Okay.
If you did not, if you did not spend it in this year, we would just basically be taking the revenue in, it would roll into fund balance and be appropriated into a following year.
So would it be earmarked as reserves, or how would it be? Let's get into the details. How would that money, if we weren't going to appropriate it for this next biennium, how would that money be earmarked, and how would it be accounted for and maintained?
It would be earmarked as far as the revenue source, how it came in.
Okay.
Okay, so it would be earmarked through that, and then as far as the appropriation in the following year, it would flow into fund balance, and the department director, that's part of what,
Sure.
as the finance director, you keep track of as far as, hey, there is this grant money that came in this one year, we're recognizing it in the following.
So we would go through the process in the following year?
Yeah.
Okay, I just
And
want
you
to
may
get that on
have
the
a
record.
great example of that later tonight in your agenda when we talk about sale of city property. That's a perfect example.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the fire grants, they're gonna, so that for the Safer grants, that's gonna be beyond 2019 anyway, so we will
Yes.
We will
have
budget
that
for that.
issue to where we
Yes.
got it this year and are spending it over 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
Great,
Okay.
Exactly.
thanks.
Okay. Any more questions?
And Mayor, if I may, just simply because this is increasing in appropriation, I would invite testimony for this.
Okay. Is there any public testimony on this one? Nope. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 1142, of the City of Gladstone, Oregon, adopting a supplemental budget for the biennium years 2017 to 2019.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor McMahon, seconded by Counselor Tracy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1142 is passed.
Thank you very much.
Next is ordinance 1489, an ordinance vacating a portion of East Kenmore Street and reserving a utility easement.
Sure.
Do we have anybody that wants to talk about this one?
Our city attorney.
Oh, city attorney.
So I can just briefly introduce it. I
Okay.
believe Mr. Cutting is here as well. So this was came to you late, I think, and there's probably a couple of reasons for that. There was some miscommunication on the city side, my side with the city, and ultimately what we have here is right-of-way that is unimproved. The city has really no need for it, with the exception of the fact that there is a storm line that runs under it. But back in 2016, the council did go through the vacation process pursuant to the property owner's request. When you do that, you have to have neighboring property owners say, that's okay, I support this. That happened. And basically what it would do is just make for what amounts to essentially a larger lot. And it sounds like historically the person that was living there was using it as a garden or for planting, what have you. So in a way, you can kind of look at this type of right-of-way vacation as sort of just sort of cleaning up, maybe not the right word, but bringing into conformance what's already kind of happening out there, and giving somebody a bit of a bigger piece of property. So with that, the delay really came down to getting the survey. Before you can have the ordinance that actually vacates the right-of-way, you have to have a survey of the area that's being vacated, and we received that, and so it's back in front of the council now.
Does anybody have any questions?
It was unclear, does this all go to Lot 1? Is that correct? Or does it go over to the parcel 3 and 4, or? I never quite make that out.
Yeah, it goes, I believe it's sure, why don't you come up? I believe it's split, but it may be that it originally was dedicated from Lot 1, so it depends upon how the history goes.
State your name first, please.
Casey Cutting.
Thanks.
So it actually is set up in the application to go 12.5 feet of it to the south property owner, and 12.5 feet to Lot 1 of the new subdivision. And as I'm sorry, I forgot your name, David. As David mentioned, there was a delay on this miscommunication. I actually, in May of 2016, when the meeting happened, I had a stroke.
Oh.
And so I honestly can't remember if I was even at the meeting, if it was right before or after, but anyway, so I had Centerline Concept Surveying do the survey, but they apparently didn't pass it on to the city, and I got an email I think it was in April, and got the survey over to the city that day, and so that, I guess, is the delay. So again, so 12.5 feet goes to both property owners. The gentleman to the south who's been there, and I think he's lived there for 30 or 40 years, he's been using it, and then the property owner of the parcel that I bought, they were both using it to store.
Is that where the house was burned down?
Yeah.
The house.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had trailer or something, or a motor
Yeah,
or
there's
something
trailers
there.
and boats, and they've been they built a fence across it and gates, and they've been using it for a very long time.
Planning Commission looked at this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it rings a bell.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, again, it's set up to be kind of split down the middle and just absorbed into the lots, because there's really no use for that little section of.
And the only caveat, which I'm sure
Is the easement.
Is the easement. And
Yeah.
assuming the council passes the ordinance, then that'll be very simple and straightforward.
Right.
That would just be recorded with the ordinance.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Cutting? Yes.
When we did our right-of-way fees a couple of years ago, well, I should say we, I was not on the council at the time. One of the ways we brought that to the citizens was by describing the right-of-ways as one of the most valuable assets that the city has. Does vacating a right-of-way mean we are giving away city property to a citizen? Help to clarify that so that people understand.
I asked that same exact question 2 years ago
You
because I
did?
thought the same thing.
Okay.
And what our attorney at the time said, it's no, because this property, when it was first developed, whoever developed the section, the Donna Lynn Terrace, gave the city essentially, or however you want to do it, but like Donna Lynn Way was put in by that developer, not for the city then to sell at some other later date for a profit. How's that? Pretty close?
Really close, yeah.
Good job,
It is very
Pat.
close. Basically, think about, Councilor Milch, a right-of-way as it's a form of easement, and as Councilor McMahon said, they're basically things that are given to the city in exchange for, in this case, getting access. And oftentimes, in parts of cities, there will be like this, unimproved right-of-way, that basically as the city was growing and built out, there was just never a need to actually put a quote-unquote road in there. And so what the state law says is that when you have these dedications of right-of-way and the city determines we really don't need this anymore, we'd have better, more productive use if it were back to, the people that originally, at least, in the chain of title, gave the city the property, it basically just reverts back. They still have the underlying ownership. The city just has kind of a super easement when it has right-of-way. But we never technically own it.
Originally, that's part of what started this.
I think so.
Yeah, that was.
Plus it goes back on the tax rolls, probably not for very much as a street, but it then comes back on the tax rolls.
True. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I move that we approve ordinance number 1489 of the City of Gladstone, Oregon, and ordinance vacating a portion of unimproved right-of-way for East Kenmore Street located in the City of Gladstone, Oregon, and reserving a utility easement.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Councilor Reisner, seconded by Councilor Neese. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 1489 passes.
So since it was unanimous, you can do a second reading if
I
you'd
always
like
like
to.
the attorney to do the second reading. Make sure that we do not mess this up.
I am happy to. Ordinance number 1489, an ordinance vacating a portion of unimproved right-of-way for East Kenmore Street located in the City of Gladstone, Oregon, and reserving a utility easement.
All right, Haley, could you please take roll call vote?
Counselor Milch?
Yes.
Counselor Neese?
Yes.
Counselor Tracy?
Yes.
Counselor Reisner?
Yes.
Counselor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Mercero?
Yes.
Mayor Stemple?
Yes. Ordinance 1489 passed with the second reading. Thank you. So of all those, there was only one that was actually a public hearing. So that
Thank
was
you, Casey.
mislabeled. All right, next item is a regular meeting agenda item, Resolution 1143, adopting a revised master fee schedule. Here comes Jim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This has been bugging me. I want to fix this. So what we're here to propose tonight is adopting a new master fee schedule. As you see in your packet, excuse me while I pull out some of my papers here, so I can get on the same page. So there were several things that were changed in the master fee schedule, starting on page 4 with some senior center increases. I can't answer these in detail, but you can look at those and see that there's typically, it looks like about a $5 increase in 3 items, and actually $1 lower in one of the items, the meal for under 60 years old.
Yeah.
And then also the billiard room, from what I've seen from the previous master fee schedule, is new. So these are all highlighted in green for the senior center. So now for the utilities, I can speak a little more in detail on those. Those are highlighted in yellow. So what we're doing this July is we are increasing the pass-through rate. So these are rates that is outside of the city's control. They're for our sewer treatment and our water treatment. So Oak Lodge Water Services, which is the first one, their rates went up by 3.37%, which is approximately $1.72 on a typical single-family home.
How much was that again?
$1.72, so 3.37%.
Okay.
So you'll see that in the old rate was 51.09, new rate's 52.81,
Okay.
and that's just passed through to Oak Lodge Water Services. For Tri-Cities and Clackamas County Service District 1, their rates went up 2.9%, which is for a single-family home about 90 cents a month. You can see that the old rate was $23.25, the new rate is $24.15, and for both the Tri-Cities and the Clackamas County Sewer District. The next one is North Clackamas County Water Commission. This one doesn't show up here separately because of the way our billing structure is, so we have to do some math and figure out what that difference is in our retail rate. But our wholesale rate actually went down 8%.
Wow.
So that's good. And some of the reasons for that is the usage has gone up a lot. So economy of scale is actually driving our rates down a little bit. So that's
wow, use more water.
yeah, well,
This is good, great.
I know.
Okay.
But I asked,
No water for fish.
because anytime the rates don't, for me, if the rates aren't going up, at least the cost of living, I'm asking questions why. And so that was the answer that was given to me. There's some other things with PERS and a lot of other little things that were minuscule, but the biggest one was the usage has gone up a little bit. So with that, our wholesale water rate went down 8%. Approximately 36% of our retail sales goes directly to wholesale. So that's how we get to doing the math of what do we lower our retail rates. So you do the math, and we are going to lower our retail rate, what the customer will see, by 2.9%.
Okay.
So that equals about 59 cents a month for a typical single-family home.
Okay, what was the percentage again?
2.9%.
0.9%.
Yeah.
How much is it again, Jim? I'm sorry.
59 cents is the dollar amount. 2.9% is the actual percentage that the citizens of Gladstone will see. So you'll see that in the rate. The rate was for a 3/4-inch meter that includes 600 cubic feet of water. It was $20.51. The new rate will be $19.92.
Great.
And then the other change is our stormwater fee. As you remember, going into this budget cycle, we were going to phase into creating a stormwater fund. Last July, it started out at $5 per single-family home, or $5 per 3,000 square foot for commercial. So this July, we're raising another $5, so it'll be at $10. So this is just following what we approved in the budget, and that's what shows in the budget. So we're still on course. So what does all this mean? A single-family home basically is going to see about a 9% increase in their bill for all this and all this. Their typical single-family home was $58.67. It's now going to be $63.67. And if you can pull up the comparison, I did the comparison you guys are used to seeing from the last public outreach. This is how we compare to the other entities around us starting July 1st. So their rates went up, ours went up, and this is where we're at. I also have a paper copy I will hand out to you when I'm done, but they're
still significantly less.
big time, yes.
Yeah.
So I think this is good just to compare. If you use 600 cubic feet of water in Oak Lodge Water Services, Westland, Oregon City, or Milwaukee, this is what your bill would be.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, I will hand that out to you in a little bit so you have a paper copy.
We're also going to be doing public outreach on the numbers that you were just writing down. We will be using Barney and Worth to do more public outreach on that, as well as showing these utility bill comparisons in the future after you approve that. And also just wanted to remind you, these very difficult rate increases that we did this last budget year, a lot of that was due to us historically us not increasing the pass-throughs.
No.
And so this is the first time that we're consistently doing that as of July 1.
Covering our costs.
trying to phase it in so it's a shock, but trying to minimize that shock, but actually get the city where we can start. For one, our number one goal is start maintaining our system. So let's get to where we can maintain the system. Then we're going to start having conversations about continuing the increases if we want to do capital.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we're into this year 2 now. So this is just starting.
Well, we need to cover our costs.
So that's kind of my spiel. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say I appreciate you, Director Wynot. I appreciate how you have put together these stories, how you reached out to the public. I would add that I think one of the things we probably need to do is put together kind of a report card system and maybe do it on a quarterly basis so that folks really understand that when you don't invest money into the infrastructure in today's dollars, what it will really cost us in later dollars, A, and B, what the actual condition of the infrastructure is. Because I think that these aha moments are kind of like, they're shocking to some, but the investment in today's dollars is cheaper. I mean, even at the cost of money, right? So I think you've done a great job, but maybe we should talk a little bit more about how to put together those quarterly report cards. So if you see things that need to be addressed, we need to talk about it at the policy level and discuss how we can do that and what we're going to do what we're going to gain in net savings over the time.
Right. Okay.
Well, and along that same line, I really appreciate that you are providing us a good monthly report with a lot of photographs showing a lot of the things you're working on, because that gets right to making citizens aware of the current conditions of things and the work involved in just improving what we have, just maintaining what we have and repairing what we have. And it's good to keep informed about that and to know that there's a reason that we invest in the equipment and the personnel that we do to address these things on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah,
and hopefully, and we've been hearing it from Public Works, and I'm hoping to hear from you guys that you hear the same thing. Is the Public Works is out there. We're doing stuff. We're maintaining the system, and it's being noticed and appreciated.
Yes. Oh, I've heard that quite a bit lately.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Oh, hold on.
This is one simply because we're increasing some fees.
Okay, we'll need to do...
Just testimony.
Is there any public testimony for this item? Mr. Osborne?
Bill Osborne. Just want to say, as I said before, I know a lot of these increases have to happen. I understand that. Come to enough of these meetings and follow enough of it. So more outreach and communication to the public might be helpful so that they understand, because a lot of people don't understand. They just see their bills go up. Also, I understand we have programs for people with low income, and that information might be something we want to put out there so it's a little easier for people to find. I know if they contact the city, I've talked to the city and I've spread that around to some people, but I still run into a lot of people who aren't aware that there's any assistance for low-income people, and we have a lot of low-income people here in Gladstone. So
I think it goes in our newsletter, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Pretty much every month.
We do a lot of outreach, and especially when people come in, that we hear conversations that we do work through with them. Yeah.
So everybody gets a newsletter.
Right, just continuing to work on that and having more open communication. It'll, allow people to utilize programs that are there for them, as well as letting people understand why their bill's going up. I know it's in the newsletter. I know, and one of the things I've found in my experience is a lot of people don't read things or pay attention to things. They pay attention to their bills. So just one of those things, if we could work on communicating to people more clearly, I think it'll help take away some of the sticker shock. I know when the water bills went up last time, there was quite an uproar about that. I know when I got my water bill, the estimated increase and what I was expecting to be the increase were two different things. My water bill was significantly higher than what I expected, as a lot of people found. So again, just a little more communication, I think, will smooth things out, make them easier. Nobody likes a bigger bill.
Okay, thank you.
One more
Yes.
thing, just to clarify too, we've been talking about effective July 1. That's when the new rates begin. The first time you'll pay a bill based on these new rates would be the bill that comes out at the
Sure.
1st of August.
Oh, is it August?
So,
That's
because
right,
they're
'cause it's
monthly
monthly.
now.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
so the bill you'll get next week, 1st of July, was based on your June meter reading, and it was based on the old rates. So we do have time before people get the next bill based on the new rates to do that communication to the public.
Yeah, and if I can talk a little bit about what our plan is at this point is, the newsletter's gonna have some of this information, this next one going out 1st of July, middle of July, excuse me. And then when you get your first bill with this rate increase, we are planning on doing some type of a bill stuffer that talks about it, and also on the message column over there, we can do similar to what we did in the past, where we just do a little rate comparison and stuff.
Perfect.
The feedback we've been getting at Public Works, and from what I've heard from Finance, this comparison is the best. This gets the message out there, with that 5-second look, you get it, versus having to read a great big old story or whatever. But that's kind of our plan at this point on getting the message out.
Oh, this is great. Thank you.
I think you guys have done an excellent job on communication and getting the information out there, making people aware, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Right, any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve number 1143, resolution repealing the master fee schedule adopted under resolution number 1135 and adopting a new master fee schedule.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor Neese and seconded by Counselor Reisner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1143 is passed. So at this time, we need to adjourn to our Urban Renewal Agency. Would someone make a motion, please, to do that?
I move that we adjourn to the Urban Renewal Agency.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Counselor Reisner, co-seconded by Counselor Neese and Counselor Tracy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in the Urban Renewal Agency meeting. Put on our other hats. Yes.
You approve the minutes?
Well, Mayor, I'd like to approve the minutes of June.
We
from
just got in the meeting.
Oh, right.
Urban Renewal Agency meeting minutes of June 12th, 2018.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor McMahon, seconded by Counselor Tracy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Urban Renewal Agency meeting minutes passed for June 12th, 2018.
Okay, so we also are in charge of the Urban Renewal Agency, and we need to adopt a supplemental budget for creating the new appropriation categories. The reason why you only have one budget and not two like you did for the other is that we are not accepting new revenues and using them in urban renewal. So I will let Kathy just summarize this resolution very briefly.
So this is basically exactly the same thing we did the first time around for the city side of it, where we are just rearranging the budget to put it into a more workable mechanism, combining materials and services and capital outlay into the district operations, showing the transfers out and the contingency. So this maintains the level of appropriation at $9,367,000. As you know, we are going to be having some changes with the urban renewal district very soon as we complete the financing. So after that is all said and done and we know exactly what numbers we're working with, then we will be coming back to you in about another month or so with a request to increase urban renewal in the same mechanism as we did with the other, and there will be some not corrections, but realignments between urban renewal and the Civic Center Capital Project Fund within the city. This is the first step, and we'll be following up later with the second.
All right, any questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Oh, excuse me, it's a public hearing. Is there any public testimony? Any questions? Concerns? No. All right. Would someone like to make a motion? Come on, mix it up. Counselor Mercereau. Counselor Milch.
I make a motion to approve resolution number UR 67 of the Gladstone Urban Renewal District, Gladstone, Oregon, adopting a supplemental budget for the biennium years 2017 to 2019 to create new appropriation categories.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Counselor Milch, seconded by Counselor McMahon. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second, do we need to do a second reading on this one?
For resolutions, nope.
Nope, we're good. All right.
But Mayor, Council, I just publicly wanted to thank Kathy Brucker for the work that she has put in to helping the city of Gladstone during a critical time when we did not have a favorable audit result. She has been such an addition to our management team here in the city of Gladstone, and we're fortunate that she's willing to stay on with us at least the next year as we get through our Civic Center financing project. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, thank you.
Yep.
All right, next item is we need to adjourn from our Urban Renewal Agency and reconvene to a work session. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor McMahon, seconded by Counselor Neese. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in work session. Item number 9 is charter amendments to city elections.
So back a couple months ago, we talked about this, and I apologize for not getting information to you in time to put into the packet. And I'm looking for my notes as to, so the discussion we had was in the proposed charter that was put to the voters in 2016. There was about a little over, I think, 41 or 42 different sections, 46 different sections. If you count the time of effect, 47. And I had disagreed with 4 of them, which was number 12, quorum, 25, the mayor, length 2 versus 4 years, 31 vacancies, and 33 city managers, changing. And so the discussion back, I guess it was last month or month, was to come back and discuss as to what we want to do forward, knowing that because what got this started was changing appointments to council to just being elected, and I'm still think that we should be elected. It troubles me, as I mentioned, not at that meeting, but prior when we've talked about this, that at several different levels, one particularly our judicial system, where our judges are supposed to be elected, where a huge majority of them are appointed and then run unopposed. And even at the at the federal level, they're nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. That doesn't even happen at the state level. The governor makes the appointments, and it's pretty much a done deal. So that's my civic part of my statement. So, but I'm willing to give, and I got reading through this again, and that one section about the 17 months before and after. I mean, I can live with that. So with that said, however, there's a couple of 31 was the one about vacancies, I think. Yeah. That we were talking about. But number 12, where it would change it to where 3 members could compel a 4th to show up for a meeting, I strongly disagree with. And then also changing the role of the city administrator to a city manager. And there was discussion, if you remember, in that maybe putting forth majority of the proposed, or the other proposed changes, because the committee that was convened back in 2016 did a lot of work. I mean, really good work on this. And I agree. Why throw out all of that in regards to, you know, even though, I mean, it's less than 10% of the items that I disagree with. And, you know, like I say, it went to the voters and they disagreed with, I don't know if they, these, but with some of them. And my personal belief in going forward would be what other cities have done is, instead of, you know, all or nothing, is divide it up. Maybe, you know, like I say, there's 47 of them. Maybe offer 1 to 10, and then, you know, 11 to 20, that kind of thing, so that it's smaller chunks. If there is an issue with 1 or 2 that the public has, that maybe those sections don't get passed, but at least the others do. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. My understanding was, were you going to connect with the people from the the original charter committee, and
well, I was going to get with Mindy, but that didn't happen. Not because of her. She did reach out to me, but last few weeks have been pretty hectic in my household, and I just wasn't able to follow up.
So is there a possibility of reconvening that, or that charter group, or appointing a new one that can look at those contentious amendments and massage them so that we have something complete, and then maybe break it up into pieces as far as presenting it to the citizens for a vote, but at least have a document that we feel comfortable with as a whole?
The only thing I want to interject is we're bumping up against a timeline.
Well, we've missed that one.
July 24th.
Yeah, we're not going to meet that one. So
are we not looking at the November election moving forward?
We don't have enough time.
Okay, so I just want we just want to make sure you understood the timeline for, because the council would have to refer it by July 24th.
We would be operating as we are now if this topic weren't on the table, would we not? So we're
correct.
This would be reversion.
So you can do whatever you want. We just need to make sure that you knew about that deadline for the November election.
And maybe it's more purposeful, to the mayor's point, if you're taking it out in chunks and you're working through actually drawing up some other issues, Councilor Reisner, if there are other things out there, then it might be a good time to come back and revisit it, and it might not go back out to the voters in a contentious vote, right? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the group did put so much time and energy into this. I don't want to see all of that wasted, and they're all very, very dedicated people. So if they would come together and massage this a bit, I would feel great, and then maybe relook at this late fall or even next, early winter.
Well, and I would say you made a good point in that you are able to, you identified the things in the proposed charter that you disagreed with.
Right.
And in a sense, you led the campaign in the community to oppose the adoption of the charter. And you're a well-loved, trusted member of the council, and a lot of people, I think, trusted your judgment and voted against it. And as you say, but you don't really know, there may have been 10 other things in here that individual citizens opposed to, which is what made it so hard to get people to adopt 47 changes to the city charter, because everybody has 1 or 2 they don't like. It's easier to vote no and say, well, let's if it's not too broke, let's not try to fix it. So, I would, I think we should continue to examine it, continue to get some citizen feedback, so we do have a better idea of what the citizens in the community are comfortable with in the way we run our government and what they're uncomfortable with. And there may be things that even the Charter Committee didn't address before. I know that part of the definition of when a position becomes vacant, you use the phrase, you serve at the pleasure of the people. You didn't want the council deciding that your position was vacant when the people didn't have a chance to make that decision. It's kind of the inverse of the vacancy thing. We want democratic involvement. And that's why, on a different note, we do have a charter amendment proposal coming up to us this November having to do with term limits, which I personally oppose, because I think when you take away the right of a citizen to vote for someone who they feel should be on the council or stay on the council, that does not seem democratic to me. I think we can look at this and get more citizen engagement on this issue as we move forward.
Yeah.
And there's some things I've seen on that really can't apply because we're superseded by others and other laws. Garbage burning is one thing. I mean, there are things in here too I've seen that I think that we're not caught quite at the levels that they should have been during review. And so I think if you want to be very thorough about it, it might be a good chance to hit the reset and come back and be thorough about it. I'd support that.
I think that we should bring in the people that were on it before, see if they're interested, post it in the newsletter, and maybe appoint a group at the second meeting in August or the first meeting in September, and then give them until maybe February.
We had 15 people on that charter committee.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Wasn't it about 15, Mindy? And then it kind of dwindled down.
Yeah, 8's probably a really good number. What do you guys think about that?
I make one comment that I don't believe what was said in the charter was so as much of a concern as how the whole package was presented to the public. Like, if you don't like the and the, you can virtually throw out the whole charter.
Yeah.
And I think in getting the committee together, one of the things that's most important is how it is presented. So if nothing else, a portion of the charters.
Right. Break it up.
And probably the charter, the way it was written, which was looked at by the charter committee, which I was on, okay, and by the council, which I was on, okay. So I think it was looked at pretty thoroughly at the time, but it wasn't looked at how it was presented to the press.
Right, so it was just all one. So what do you guys think about that, getting the committee together or a committee together, appointing that group at the first meeting in September and giving them a couple months to shake it out?
I personally think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
Yep, that sounds good.
Does that work? Does that work?
And they may just say, this is great, let's just run with this again, because they already...
But just break it up into manageable chunks that...
Well, not even that. I think if we can not have a no on it, or at least figure out what the no was. If Neil hadn't run the campaign, this probably would have passed, Neil and I think Kim and stuff. If there hadn't been a no, that it would have passed.
It would have passed.
It wouldn't have been because there's a bunch of things, because not a lot of this is changing. There isn't a huge... We got rid of the burning the garbage. I think that was in the first one. It's not in this one now, but there was a lot of it didn't change much. There was some grammatical stuff and that. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a good way to go.
Okay, so could we put it in the newsletter and have applications back to us, 7 days before our first September meeting?
And then especially contact the folks that were on.
That were on it before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to remind the council that we did have our legal team there at every meeting, so it costs money to do that. Just throwing it out there, Mr. Reisner. Let's get lawyers involved.
But I think sometimes you have to spend the money.
Yeah. No, I agree completely.
But that's a good point she's making.
They are there at
and you can't complain because they have to be there to guide us.
And I would, not to talk myself out of work, right? But, especially if it's going to be a revisit of what was already done, you probably don't need us at every one. I mean, that's up to you guys. But, if it's really going to be a matter of maybe going over, some of the concerns that Councilor Reisner made, maybe other concerns, comments people have. The other thing we could always, I think would be very wise, obviously, is that if you get to a point where you're thinking, however that committee is formed, whatever it looks like, whatever you end up doing, okay, this is what we think we want to take to the voters, I think at that point you'd want to bring us in.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that it's necessary for us to, be there at every meeting. I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
And I wasn't saying one way or the other, I said, remember that.
She's making a point.
Okay.
Fair.
So
That's a
does
fair
that
comment.
sound okay,
Got it.
Jackie?
Yep.
All right. So-
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
One of the things about the charter right now is very gender masculine for the mayor, city administrator, and the municipal. Maybe a quick run that could be put on the next election is just making it to the
Yeah.
Yeah, the pronoun adjustments,
Yeah, that's the easy one.
yeah.
Okay.
Get people kind of warmed up to making charter changes at elections.
Okay. So that's an easy one. All right, so that's it for our work session. Next item is business carried forward.
So we just need clarification,
Oh.
and that means we still need to bring something to you to refer to the November ballot if you're asking for that. So if
No.
you're asking for the changes to the gender neutral.
Oh, no, I think we
Okay.
can look, when the
You
new
wanna do
charter
it
group
with
is
the
formed.
group.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to do it then.
Okay, so I have no business carried forward.
All right, so business from the council. Counselor Tracy.
Not much. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but not in the city for me. We are going, we're taking that language to a Thursday night, I think, and finalizing things with North Clackamas Water.
Good.
And so I think all the attorneys have met, talked, and we're getting back to where we were.
Wonderful. Counselor Neese.
I just attended a couple meetings last couple weeks. One of them was Kurt Schrader did a talk about what's happening in Washington, D.C. and what's going on there. So he just kind of highlighted a few things, but it's to do with what's happening right now that everybody's seeing on the news. And I'm not going to get into all the details of it. And then Clackamas County Business Alliance was part of that as well, so they helped sponsor that breakfast. And I didn't go to public policy. Did you make it, Jackie?
Which,
The chambers.
The public policy with the chamber? I didn't make that
it was a few weeks ago. They have another one coming up on the 1st of the month.
Right.
Yes.
And I won't be able to make that one.
Okay, Counselor Milch.
Back when we were working on council rules, one of the things I recommended was we no longer use the term business from the audience with our group because, you know, I said at the time, we are not performers, you are not an audience, you are citizens, you are residents, it's public involvement. But a lot of the national discussion about citizenship and immigration makes me think that sometimes we use the term citizens as we think an improved way of referring to the folks who are maybe not the elected officials, although we are citizens as well. But I think it's important, too, that we keep in mind that when we speak of citizens in general, we know that within our city there are residents who may not be legal citizens of the United States, and that does not make them less important in our mind in terms of their input and involvement with the workings of the city. So I hope that my tendency to use that term is not misinterpreted by anybody as a bias toward those who do have legal citizenship, because that is not the case. First, I want to thank publicly one of our great city employees, Elizabeth Taylor, who works in the water department. If you ever have any questions about your water bill, or your meter reading, or how your rates were worked out, she is a great one to go to, and I relied on her to prepare for that item in our budget or in our agenda tonight. She answered good questions about that and helped me understand those numbers well. We have good city employees at all different levels. Some of them work mostly behind the scenes, but when you need them, they're really great. And I didn't take too much of her time because I kept it mostly about my own bill, because this is the time of year when my wife begins to use a lot of water in the yard, and I wanted to know what the damage is going to be next month.
Turn it off.
And also that great purveyor of misinformation, the social media outlet Nextdoor, had an item in it that resulted from some miscommunication between a staff member and a citizen, I'll use that term, regarding the transportation system plan that the council approved last November. it said in there that we had removed the recommendation to reduce speed limits on Oatfield Road and Webster Road. Actually, we did not take that action. The staff member who spoke to her just didn't find them in the section where he thought they would be. They are still in there. So if you have people asking, why are we opposed to reducing speed limits? We are not. That's still part of the plan. A transportation system plan does not, once we adopt the plan, that doesn't mean that everything in it happens immediately. So it may take some direction from citizens and from the council to get that to happen. But it is, our official position still is that that bicycle safety on those two streets would be much better if the speed limits were reduced to 30 miles per hour.
All right, thank you. Councilor Reisner?
Thank you. Traffic Safety Commission would like to meet with us September 25th at the for joint meeting, the Traffic Safety Work Plan. That would be our second meeting in September.
And that'll be a work session?
Yeah, like we've done with the other parks
Okay.
and such.
Okay.
That will be the only item on your agenda for that evening. Yes.
Okay. Unless we find some more stuff to put on there.
Oh, we got a couple
That
months.
will be the only item on.
So, a second item that's also traffic related, that's been in the news a lot lately, and today I don't know the exact name of the committee that the legislature created to advise the Oregon Traffic Commission in regards to tolling on I-5 and 205. They sent their recommendations to the Oregon Traffic Commission, I believe, today or yesterday, recommending that I-5 be tolled in certain areas, and also 205 here at Abernathy Bridge. And I believe, well, I'll just come out and say, I'm anti-tolling, and I would like us, if you agree with me, for us to take a stand, and if you agree, then write a letter to the commission with that belief.
They are looking at tolling, just to share with you, at the Abernathy Bridge going into West Lynn. They're looking at that, putting a toll there. And that's pretty much in place.
So just to let you know, so, and I'm not asking that this decision be made tonight, but I'm bringing it up tonight so that if you're so inclined, we can discuss it more in the future and have staff help us with something.
Jackie's going to get an earful at the C4 retreat.
So Councilor Tracy and Mayor Stemple went over the C4 retreat agenda with me, because I'll be representing Gladstone, and that is heavily discussed on their agenda. So I'm happy to bring back information in regards to what are other cities doing. Are they publicly opposing? Are they remaining neutral? So yes, I'd like to bring that back, but obviously the council can do whatever they choose to do.
I think that's smart. Just have her bring the information back, and then we can decide what to do.
I agree.
All right, is that it?
That is, thank you.
Councilor McMahon?
Just a side note, traffic is crappy no matter what, so we're in for it, whether you toll or not. Traffic, you can be on 205 any time of the day anymore, and you get backed up everywhere. So this is new reality. So whether we toll or raise the taxes or do something, because you can't build your way out of this. There is no way to do it.
Woober.
I did go with City Administrator Betts, we went to Rynearson Pond with a bunch of big wigs from NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, last week, and toured the site again, and they were like directors, so almost chief level things, that came and took a look at what was going on, and they were very impressed with the work. And what was nice was the gal it was a lawyer for the Siletz tribe, who is one of the stakeholders that's going to be the final approval for this project that they have already spent a lot of money on. So it was good to have somebody there from that group as well to see what the work that's being done.
Was that Dolores Pigsley?
No.
Oh.
That's not a name I'm familiar with. So that was good. Great tour. They're doing a lot of work there. They're they're 75% done. Once it dries out a little bit more, they're going to get in there and finish everything up this year. And then hopefully they're going to start selling credits. So I'm still holding my breath on that, but it's all there. They've spent probably $1 million and probably have $1 million more to go that they have spent all of their own money in anticipation of selling credits. So right now we're sitting good. They've done a lot of work for the city at no cost, and potentially we will get some money back when it's all said and done. Also, just a side note, the budget, I just want a special notice that also that Kathy Brucker and yourself, Administrator Betts, have done a fantastic job. Though in a lot of places it was overspending and fraud and theft and things 2 or 3 months ago floating all around. I even heard it at a senior center meeting from senior center advisory committee of, oh my gosh, they had heard about all this fraud and theft going on that, of course, I just chuckled at them. But this is very nice to have this all spelled out very clearly for us so that we can then tell everybody else this is what it is. It's not anything that you may have heard somewhere else. Lastly, PDX Portland, PDX Pizza Company, Portland Avenue Pizza Company, is open. I have been there 3 times. The first time, they were a little slow. It took about an hour and a half, but it was like the first or second day.
Stuck to it.
Second time, but the pizza was phenomenal. And I've been back 2 more times. The pizza is very, very good. I highly recommend it.
And not an hour and a half now?
No, it took them 15, 20 minutes. The
Perfect.
second and third time, they figured out, they're ironing out a lot of things and had an extra hand in there to make the pizzas, and the dough is phenomenal. Everything on that pizza was top notch.
I think work session we need to order pizza from them. Councilor Mercero.
I'd just like to thank Jackie and the staff. We dug our first inch today.
Gravel. Pay dirt.
3,000 tons left.
And I've been part of the council now for 8 years. And one of the first meetings I was in, I voted no to something that everybody on the council approved, and that was fixing the roof, which involved re-engineering this building, which I brought back to the next meeting and said, yeah, I gotta apologize, but I gotta tell you why I voted no when nobody else did. And the council that night changed their answer, their vote, and decided not to fix the roof. So you can blame me for that. However, we finally got to dig our first bit of gravel tonight to put a new building in. So.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. All right, Councilor Tracy
So
has
real
one
quick,
more thing.
couple things. So I'm a little rummy because I did get certified today as a post-earthquake building evaluation guy.
Ooh.
That
Hopefully you'll never
I
have
did
to
miss.
do it.
I know. That's laughing. I did miss. You're correct. I did miss the exclusion of the burning garbage. And Michael reminded me that everybody should rest easy because the cougar sighting turned out to be just a big, large house cat.
Ridiculous.
So we should be good to go.
We're fine. Oh my
I
gosh.
liked your reaction. The other little house cats are gone. Right.
Yeah. Okay, I just had a couple of things. First is water and environmental services. We're in deep discussion on the sewer district governance issue. It's now gone to Oregon consensus. Wes has agreed to pay for them to go out and do a stakeholders process to find out if this is the right process to move forward or not. So they've identified just about everybody that lives in this district as a stakeholder, so I'm not sure who all is going to get called for interviews. It may be any of you. If you feel comfortable being interviewed for that, that's great. If you have any questions about what's been going on, let me know. We're just trying to get a path forward that includes the jurisdictions being at the table and helping make governance decisions. Right now we're not at the table at all. So that's really important. Tomorrow night is the Boardman Creek Watershed Phase 1 groundbreaking, which is very exciting. This is the wetland that connects to our Glen Echo wetlands, And they're starting there, and they're going to be doing a full remediation mitigation plan. It's going to be beautiful. So once that gets done, I think that's going to help us downstream with the storm surges not being so bad. And then our piece will be next. So they're going to put a meandering creek and all kinds of stuff in there. It's going to be really nice. The next thing I had is coffee with the counselor. People aren't showing up. People aren't signing up. My name is on it as a placeholder just in case somebody else can't go. And I can't go to every single meeting. I have no intentions of going to every single meeting. So if somebody signs up, you guys need to go. And if you can't go, make arrangements ahead of time to make sure that we are staffed and there. If this is not something that you guys want to be committed to because you're busy, I understand that, then let's rethink it and come up with another option. But we need to be there if we have signed up. So that was all that I had. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Reisner, seconded by Counselor McMahon. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:50 p.m. So we are going into an executive session next, so people have to scoot.
I was going home.
All right, so we're going to reconvene our regular meeting at 8:10 p.m. And the only item is the sale of city property.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you recall, the citizens currently authorized the City of Gladstone to list the Rainy Collector Site property for sale. And we held an executive session, and the city has received 4 offers. And our recommendation is that you allow us to proceed with the offer of $175,000. And the next step in the process would be for the city to prepare a public hearing notice to the Clackamas Review, that we would hold a public hearing on July 10th for the city to provide public comment on whether or not we can accept the offer for $175,000. That would come in the form of a purchase sale agreement, and at that time then we would proceed with the closing.
Okay. Any questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move
So
that
moved.
we do what Jackie just said.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Counselor Reisner, seconded by Counselor McMahon. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The property may be sold. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor McMahon, seconded by Counselor Neese to adjourn the meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 8:12 p.m.
Cool.